Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Hello, everyone.
Today we're jumping into a really significant book, M. Scott Peck's The Road Less Traveled.
Absolutely. And it's not your typical self-help guide, is it? It goes much deeper.
Definitely. It's more an exploration of, well, discipline, love, spiritual growth. It really makes you think about how we face problems in life.
That's right. And our goal today is to unpack some of those core ideas. How did this book become such a huge yet slow-burning bestseller?
Yeah, its origin story is pretty fascinating.
Well, we want to distill some of that wisdom, like why facing pain is actually vital for growth.
How our ideas about love might be, well, a bit off track.
And also touch on this idea Peck calls grace, the sort of mysterious force in our lives.
And let's start with how it even got famous. It wasn't an overnight success after it came out in '78, was it?
Not at all. It took, what, 5 years, 5 whole years to hit the bestseller lists? Quite a slow burn.
So how did that happen? Without a big marketing push?
Purely word of mouth, really. It spread organically. Interestingly, groups like Alcoholics Anonymous were early champions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Peck even got his first fan letter saying, "Dear Dr. Peck, you must be an alcoholic," because it resonated so deeply with their experiences.
Wow. And Peck himself was okay with that slow build?
He was actually grateful for it, said he probably wouldn't have handled sudden fame very well back then. He felt it gave the book time to find its real audience.
And who was that audience, in his view?
Well, he noticed many people coming to his lectures had already done some kind of psychotherapy, maybe 12-step programs.
Ah, okay.
He saw them as people who were transcending traditional culture, daring to think about things maybe you weren't supposed to talk about.
So they were ready for the message.
Exactly. He even accepted being called a prophet, not predicting the future, but reading the signs of the times. He really felt the audience made the book a success. It was truly a book for its time.
It sounds like it had this momentum all its own. I remember reading about a critic, Phyllis Theroux, who told him something like, "It's not your book, you know?"
Yeah, and he got that. He wasn't saying it was dictated from on high or flawless. He owned its imperfections.
Right.
But he did feel a definite sense of, well, help while writing it, almost like something else was contributing.
Like a collaboration?
Kind of.
Oh,
He
yeah.
felt that sense of help was maybe the real subject of the book itself, pointing towards some deeper influence. It's quite intriguing.
It really is. Okay, so moving into the core ideas, Peck starts with this pretty stark statement, life is difficult, or life is a series of problems. Where do we even begin with that?
Well, he argues the main tool we need is discipline. And yeah, it starts with accepting that core truth, which echoes the Buddha, really. Life involves suffering, problems are inevitable.
And dealing with them. It's painful. It brings up fear, frustration, sadness.
All of it. But Peck insists that pain is essential. Problems are the cutting edge, he says. They force us to develop courage and wisdom.
So it's through the problems that we grow.
Precisely. Only because of problems that we grow mentally and spiritually. He even says wise people actually welcome problems and the pain they bring as opportunities.
That's a challenging perspective. What happens if we try to avoid that pain?
Well, Peck argues that's the root of most mental health issues. Trying to dodge legitimate suffering, the discomfort that comes with facing problems. He calls it the primary basis of all human mental illness.
Wow. He quotes Carl Jung, too, right? Something about neurosis.
Yes, Jung's powerful line. Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. If you sidestep the necessary pain of growth, you end up suffering in a different, often less productive way.
Because the problems don't just vanish.
Exactly. They stick around. They become barriers to your spiritual growth.
Okay, so if we need discipline to face these problems, what are the specific tools Peck gives us? He outlines 4, right?
Yes, 4 key facets of discipline. The first is delaying of gratification.
Putting off the good stuff.
Sort of. It's the willingness to forego immediate pleasure or comfort for a greater long-term reward or resolution.
Can you give an example?
He talks about people, maybe like a parent wanting an instant fix for a child's emotional issue, who can't tolerate the discomfort of waiting, of analyzing the problem properly, or someone avoiding a difficult conversation, hoping the problem just magically disappears.
Right, that immediate relief feels better, but doesn't solve anything. What's the second tool?
Acceptance of responsibility. This is huge. Owning your choices and their outcomes.
Which people are often very good at avoiding.
Oh, absolutely. Peck gives examples like a soldier blaming this damn island for his drinking, or someone else blaming external factors for their own destructive behavior. Anything but saying, I made this choice.
He makes a distinction here, doesn't he? Between different ways people avoid responsibility.
Yes, between neurotics who might blame themselves excessively, I ought to, I should, and character disordered individuals who blame everything else. I can't, I have to. He found neurotics easier to help because they at least accept some responsibility, even if it's skewed.
But figuring out what we truly are responsible for, that's not easy.
It's a lifelong task, requires constant self-examination, which, again, can be uncomfortable. Peck shared his own realization about being overworked, that it was entirely up to him how he managed his time.
That sounds freeing, in a way.
It is. The truth is, as healthy adults, our choices are vast. Even if the choices themselves are difficult or painful, we have more agency than we often admit.
Okay, so delay gratification, accept responsibility. What's number 3?
Dedication to truth. This isn't just about not telling lies to others. It's about being honest with yourself.
How so?
It means constantly revising your view of the world, your map of reality, as he calls it, your Weltanschauung. And that process, it's often really painful.
Because it means admitting you were wrong.
Exactly. Or that your understanding was incomplete. It means being open to challenge from other people, from new experiences, even from your own conscience.
He mentions common lies people tell themselves.
Yes, especially around love, like we really love our children, or our parents really loved us. Sometimes those are true. Sometimes. They're comforting lies that prevent growth. He saw psychotherapy as a kind of truth game.
But is total, brutal honesty always the answer?
No, there's nuance. It involves wisdom about when and how to share truth, like parents shielding young kids from severe financial stress, or a therapist waiting until a patient is ready to hear a difficult insight.
But the goal is honesty.
Ultimately, yes, the rewards are huge.
Yeah.
Genuine growth, real intimacy, feeling free because you're not hiding. He argues it actually takes less energy, to be honest, than to maintain secrets and lies.
Okay, makes sense. And the 4th tool.
The 4th is balancing. This is about developing serious flexibility, juggling conflicting needs, desires, responsibilities, emotions.
Like managing anger, knowing when it's appropriate to express it and how.
Precisely. That's a classic example he uses. It's complex. There's no single right way. You need to balance expressing it with considering the impact.
And this balancing often involves giving things up.
Yes, that's a crucial and often the most painful part of it. Balancing means letting go of old patterns, outdated beliefs, maybe even parts of your identity that no longer serve you.
He even talks about the healthiness of depression in this context, right?
He does. He sees depression not always as purely pathological, but sometimes as the natural feeling associated with loss, with giving up something familiar or loved, even if it's a part of your old self.
So it's like a necessary death before a rebirth.
Kind of. It's often part of successful therapy, letting the old self die to make way for the new. But this is incredibly hard for people whose childhoods made them terrified of loss.
So discipline isn't about rigidity, it's about this skillful balancing and willingness to change and grow.
Exactly. It's a self-enlarging process. He quotes Seneca. You have to keep learning how to live and also how to die, meaning let go throughout life. More growth means more letting go, more joy, and yes, more pain.
You need a strong sense of self before you can afford to let parts of it go.
That's key. You must forge for yourself an identity before you can give it up. Develop the ego before you can transcend it.
Okay, that lays a solid foundation with discipline. Now, how does Peck tackle something as huge and, well, emotional as love?
Yeah.
Does he apply this same disciplined approach?
He absolutely does. And his definition is quite radical, maybe even clinical sounding at first.
Oh, does it?
He defines love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own and another's spiritual growth.
The will, not the feeling.
Exactly. He stresses it's volitional rather than emotional. It's a decision, a commitment, a choice. Love is as love does, he says. It requires effort, work, courage, pushing against laziness or fear.
That really challenges the whole falling in love narrative.
Completely. He flat out says falling in love is not love.
Whoa. Okay, unpack that.
He sees falling in love as this temporary collapse of ego boundaries. You feel merged, ecstatic. It feels amazing.
Sure does.
But he calls the popular myth of romantic love a dreadful lie because it sets us up for failure. It's not sustainable.
So when does real love start, according to him?
It only begins when that initial in-love feeling fades, when the boundaries go back up and you choose to connect, to nurture growth, despite seeing the other person as separate and imperfect. That's when the work starts.
He also differentiates love from dependency, right?
Yes, very clearly. He calls dependency parasitism. If you need someone for your basic survival or sense of self, that's not love because there's no real choice involved.
So what's the condition for real love then?
He puts it starkly. Two people love each other only when they are quite capable of living without each other, but choose to live with each other.
That requires a strong sense of self in both people.
Definitely. He also talks about cathexis, investing emotional energy without real love, like people who only love pets because they remain dependent, or parents who withdraw love when a child starts asserting independence. The key differentiator for Peck is the aim, spiritual growth.
So if love is this effortful act of will aimed at growth, what does that look like in action? What's the work involved?
One major component is the work of attention, really truly listening.
Which most of us aren't great at.
Sadly, no. He says most people do not listen well. It takes real effort to set aside your own stuff, your judgments, and just fully receive what the other person is saying. He calls it bracketing.
You had a personal experience with this.
Yeah, listening intensely to a speaker, he felt physically drained afterwards but gained huge insights. He believed that feeling truly heard is incredibly therapeutic for people, often a completely new experience.
Love also involves taking risks, you said.
Huge risks. Extending yourself means stepping into the unknown. There's the risk of loss, for one.
Loving someone means you might lose them.
Or something, any living thing. If you want to avoid that pain entirely, you have to avoid connection, avoid meaning. A full life, he says, will inevitably be full of pain.
What are the risks?
The risk of independence, choosing your own path, even when it's scary and uncertain. The risk of commitment, which involves facing yourself and changing how you behave. He says this can be scarier than going into battle.
Wow. And the last risk?
The risk of confrontation. This is maybe the toughest for loving people. Exercising power, even benevolently, telling someone essentially, I think you're wrong here for your own good. It requires humility and skill.
So tying it back, love requires discipline.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A genuinely loving relationship is a disciplined relationship. It's not about chaos, letting feelings run wild, nor is it about rigid control. It's that balanced middle path again.
And it also requires seeing the other person as separate.
Yes, love is separateness, recognizing the other person's unique individuality. He gives examples of narcissistic parents who can't see their child as distinct from themselves, imposing their own needs and expectations.
So in marriage, for instance.
Ideally, it's a partnership supporting both individuals on their separate spiritual journeys. Both tend the home fires, and both venture out to grow.
This leads him to a pretty bold claim about psychotherapy and love.
Yeah, his heretical notion that therapy should be an act of love. And if that's true, shouldn't love always be therapeutic? His answer: certainly. He believed we have a responsibility to lovingly help those close to us grow, even outside a formal therapy setting.
That's a high bar for relationships. Okay, this feels like a natural transition to the last major theme. Grace. This is where Peck enters more mysterious territory, right?
Exactly. He starts asking questions that discipline and his definition of love don't fully answer. Like, where does love ultimately come from? Why do some people overcome terrible childhoods and become loving, while others with every advantage, even therapy, don't?
These questions push us towards mystery.
Precisely. The edge of mystery. Peck himself said his psychiatric practice made him shift from believing in no miracles to seeing that miracles abound.
What kind of miracles did he see?
Well, first, the simple miracle of health. Our bodies fight off countless threats constantly. We get sick, yes, but it's amazing we aren't sick more often. We understand disease causes, but not fully how health is maintained.
And the second?
The miracle of the unconscious. He believed, like Jung, that the vast majority of our mind, maybe 95%, is unconscious, and it's a source of incredible wisdom.
Through dreams, slips of the tongue.
Yes, things that reveal deeper truths our conscious mind resists. He saw mental illness not as the unconscious being bad, but as a poor relationship between the conscious and the unconscious. Our conscious mind fights the wisdom trying to emerge.
He even hypothesizes the unconscious is God.
He does, a bold idea. The collective unconscious is God, our personal unconscious as the interface. It's a way to frame that inner wisdom as something potentially divine.
And the third miracle?
Serendipity. Those meaningful coincidences. Highly unlikely, beneficial things happening that seem to hint at a hidden order or guidance. They're quiet, knocking on the door of our awareness.
So putting these together, how does he define grace?
He calls it a powerful force originating outside of human consciousness, which nurtures the spiritual growth of human beings. It works beyond our deliberate will.
Like God's love in religious terms.
That's the traditional understanding, yes. He argues it challenges a purely materialistic scientific view. He points to evolution itself, life striving towards complexity, against entropy, as a kind of natural grace. Spiritual growth also pushes against our natural inertia, our resistance.
There's a force pulling us towards the harder, better path.
That's the idea, a force nurturing our growth.
If grace is this powerful, nurturing force, what stops us from receiving it? What's the main obstacle?
In a word, laziness.
Laziness. That sounds almost too simple.
He means it in a deep sense. Laziness is the force of entropy in our spiritual lives. It's the avoidance of necessary suffering, the unwillingness to make the effort to extend oneself for growth.
So even fear can be a form of this laziness.
Often, yes. Fear of the work involved in changing, in facing truth, in making commitments. He even uses the Adam and Eve story as an example of fearing the work of questioning and seeking an easy, sneaky shortcut.
He also mentions promotion neurosis.
Right, people getting anxious or depressed after a promotion because they resist the increased responsibility and power that comes with growth. The call to grace, Peck says, is like a promotion to higher responsibility.
And that responsibility is daunting.
Hugely. To feel close to this force, to God, is also to feel the obligation to be an agent of that force, of its power and love. That means a life of effort, service, sacrifice.
It's not a comfortable peace.
No, he references Thomas Becket. Christ's peace is not as the world gives, it involves struggle. He tells the story of a patient who quit therapy in anger when she realized mental health demanded constant awareness, thinking all the time. You expect me to be some sort of god or something, she said.
That captures the resistance perfectly, the fear of that ultimate responsibility.
Yes, the aloneness of power at the highest levels of spiritual growth. Many reject that potential rather than step up.
So if grace is there, but we resist it through laziness and fear, how do we actually welcome it? We can't force it, right?
Correct. It's a paradox.
Well,
We cannot will ourselves to grace. We can by will open ourselves to its miraculous coming.
How do we open ourselves?
By doing the work of discipline and love we've been talking about. By cultivating the ground, becoming a welcoming place. You don't need theology, just the commitment to growth. Like tending a garden for rain you can't control.
And recognizing grace when it appears, that changes things.
Profoundly. It shatters meaninglessness. It suggests our spiritual growth matters to something larger than ourselves. It puts humanity, in a way, back at the center, not necessarily physically, but spiritually.
That's a powerful note to end the core ideas on. Before we wrap up, Peck does offer some practical advice for those seeking help on this path, specifically about choosing a therapist.
Yes, and he stresses how important this decision is. A major investment, time, money, energy, high risk, but potentially huge spiritual dividends.
What does he say matters most in a therapist? Not their specific degree.
Not primarily. Credentials matter very little, he argues bluntly. What matters is if the therapist is a genuinely caring person. Love, courage, wisdom, those can't be certified. He knew great therapists who never finished college.
How do you find something like that?
He suggests word of mouth is often best. If issues are severe, maybe start with a psychiatrist for a medical perspective who can then refer. Clinics are an option if money is tight.
But ultimately, the choice is personal.
Absolutely. Nothing can relieve you of the responsibility for personally choosing the particular human being whom you can trust to be your guide. You have to trust your intuition, your gut feeling about that unique connection.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Discipline, love as work, the mystery of grace.
It's a deep journey, Peck maps out. What does it all mean for you, listening? We've seen how discipline builds the foundation, how love requires conscious effort and will for growth, and how grace might be this underlying force nudging us along.
I think maybe the biggest takeaway Peck offers is that growth and pain often go together, and that real freedom comes not from avoiding problems, but from facing them with responsibility and courage.
Definitely. So maybe a final thought to leave you with. If Peck is right that our conscious self often resists our deeper unconscious wisdom, and that's a source of struggle, what part of your own inner wisdom might you be resisting right now, maybe without even realizing it?
And what could happen, what might open up, if you dared to lean into that discomfort just a little?
Something to mull over. It's been a fascinating dive.
It really has. Thanks for exploring the road less traveled with us today.